G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to discuss the question, is Chapter 3 good? Or is it at least as good as what you thought it was going to be on day one? We're now 2 weeks in, are you having as much fun when it first released? We're going to answer some of those questions around should the SMGs and ARs be nerfed? Should the shotguns be buffed? Is the Spider-Man mythic good for the game? How is the game playing competitively? I've now watched a whole bunch of tournaments, a bunch of scrims. Is this looking like it's going to be a good competitive meta, or are they just going to be dead games of everyone being sprayed down by these ridiculous ARs and SMGs? I'm going to answer all those questions and have a chat about it and get your guys' opinion as well. So let's just jump into it. Let's start off talking about the big one, the weapons, the spray meta, the SMGs, the ARs, and the shotguns. What do I currently think of the meta? Well, let me start off saying exactly what I thought was going to happen is what happened. The spray meta was refreshing at first for me. I enjoyed the fact that not everything was a box fight. It was a bit of change of pace, especially with a new map and crazy items. It just felt like everything wasn't as sweaty. I didn't have to try as hard. But now I knew a few weeks later, I was going to start to get bored of that. And I'm not speaking for everyone here. Me personally, I enjoy games at their best when I feel like I can invest time in them and I can improve at them and I can see myself improving. That's what makes me play games for hundreds or thousands of hours. The current meta just doesn't do that for me. I am actually better in this existing meta just because I've always had better aim than I've had builds and edits. I'm consistently dropping pretty high kill games. Me and my duo pretty much just got about 8,000 arena points in 2 days in like, I think about 7 or 8 hours just farming people with SMGs and ARs, but I don't feel like I'm getting better. I don't feel like I'm being rewarded. Even after I kill someone, I'm not satisfied. And when someone kills me by doing the same thing, I'm frustrated. That's just me personally. I fully get why casuals and other people really enjoy the change of pace. There's more AR and SMG gameplay than just shotguns, which is also good for people who are used to playing on a higher ping. I fully get that. I'm not about to just say the new meta is worse. I just personally find it less fun. I felt like at the end of last season, the last couple of seasons, when I started making my Path to Pro series on YouTube, I felt like I was improving in the game and I was having a lot of fun. I was working on my piece control, working on my edits, my builds, my shotgun aim. It just felt like there was so many more elements to the fights I was having. And even if I lost, if someone outplayed me, I accepted it. And then when I won, I full piece someone and pumped them, I felt so good. I haven't really had that feeling too much in this season. Buffing the shotguns was a help. Sometimes I pick up a good striker shotgun now, like epic or legendary, and I get like, you know, one clip and I'm like, cool, that was kind of cool. But compared to previous seasons, I just don't feel like I'm improving as much. I actually genuinely think I've gotten worse at the game from how I've been playing this season. Just jumping in with double SMG or ARs, spraying my way in. When I verse better players and they have a good shotgun, they outplay me, I feel like an idiot for the way I'm playing the game. But then I try to use the shotguns, I'll run into a bad player who just SMG sprays to my wall and I go down. And I want to have this conversation about what is better and worse, because you guys always ask me that. If it's working, then I'm getting better at the game. And I get that. This is the current meta. It still requires some level of skill. You have to have decent aim, positioning, I guess, movement. But when you compare that to a box fight meta that has so many nuances to it, there's such an element of like, you know, having to predict what they're going to do, what you're going to do, going for quick edits, you know, getting good angles, getting good shots, piece control, compared to just waiting until they edit and just brrr. It's not as skillful in my opinion, and that's why I'm starting to find myself get a little bit bored of the current meta. And I would love to see, you know, maybe the shotguns not buffed, but I want to see the ARs and SMGs nerfed a little bit. I think the way the shotguns are right now, they hit really hard, they hit pretty consistently, and I think they have a good time to kill. The biggest issue is they're outshadowed by the ARs and SMGs. So instead of buffing the shotgun, just nerf the ARs and SMGs down a little bit, and I think we could have a really, really good weapon meta on our hands. Again, I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm mostly speaking for people who play competitively and like to take the game more seriously. For casuals, I can fully understand why they like the AR and SMG spray meta, but I also truly think with a Spider-Man mythic in the game now, adding so much mobility where everyone can get around the map like crazy, the ARs and SMGs are starting to cause even an issue in pubs and casual games. It's causing them to die out really fast, and I feel like people are getting third-partied constantly because everyone's running 3 spray weapons and they can get to every fight and just brrr, brrr, brrr. Like, it's all that's happening at the moment. Again, let me know in the comments if you guys disagree. I look at most things from a competitive angle. Casuals, let me know. Are you still really enjoying the spray meta, or after a couple weeks is it starting to get a little bit old? What are your guys' thoughts on the sniper rifles? And I think this is an interesting one. A lot of people have been talking about the sniper rifles not doing 200 damage and that being the big talking point. I don't think that's actually the biggest focus. It's how slow the sniper rifles shoot now. The bullet trajectory speed is so incredibly slow. Have you found it just way harder to hit snipe shots? I've basically just not running snipers at all because the MK7 does so much damage at range. I don't really need to run the sniper, but also the sniper just doesn't feel fun to use. And I don't think it's the lack of one-shot headshots. It's because I can't hit a shot on a moving target consistently like I could with the bolt action. It really feels much more like the Mandalorian sniper that had a slower bullet that I just was never a huge fan of. So I just feel like the sniper being in the game right now feels pretty useless. I don't actually know the last time I got headshot sniped or headshot sniped someone else. I think with so many crazy weapons in the game, you know, running AR, SMG, shotgun, Spider-Man, and then one med slot, or if you want to run 2 med slots, I think maybe people are just not running the sniper rifle because of the Spider-Man mythic, or do you just feel like the snipers aren't as good anymore? Let's talk about how the game is being affected competitively. So when I talk about me getting better and wanting to improve, that could be creative. That can honestly be arena. I don't really play scrims or tournaments, but I've now watched a lot of scrims and a lot of tournaments. I've watched at least 8 tournaments now with big prize money on the line. I've watched quite a few scrim games, so I feel like I can finally give an opinion on how this chapter is looking competitively. Not great. Let's be honest, right now with the ARs and the SMGs doing as much damage as they do, it's making competitive not fantastic. Because you also have to imagine when you take weapons that kill people this quickly in pubs and arena and you put them in the hands of the best players in the world, it gets even worse. Right now, the amount of sheer damage that's being put out by the assault rifles is leading to just a lot of ridiculous lobby focusing. People just know now if someone builds up near them and they start shooting them and someone else starts shooting them, that player is probably going to die, even if they haven't been shot yet, just because a few, like 3 or 4 players with MK7s who are pros are going to be able to spray through walls because the amount of bleed damage right now that's going through walls with the ARs and SMGs is just ridiculous. It's usually leading to some pretty annoying games, and unfortunately it's leading games to be less stacked. I don't always say that games are less stacked means they're worse. A lot of people remember World Cup very fondly. It was so fun to watch, so exciting. The games were pretty unstacked across the board, especially even in World Cup qualifiers. So that isn't always an indicator of bad games, but they're not dying in fun ways. They're not losing and beating people in fun ways. End games, the shotguns just aren't consistent enough to do any real amount of damage. So it's leading to a lot of people just playing Tarp Simulator, running as far as they can so they get out of mats, and they're just jumping in and trying to find someone with an SMG because they can't really, you know, predict people and find those good angles to get the good pump shots. Since the striker pump got upgraded, it is getting a little bit better. Pros still opting to usually run assault rifle and striker pump. You still have a few controller players and especially a few players running AR, SMG, and I know you heard me say controller players there. Obviously, we have the huge topic around aim assist. A lot of people are now saying aim assist feels really good with everything except for the MK7 assault rifle. Some people still saying it feels terrible. I'm just gauging what I've seen off the pro players. A lot of the controller pro players I've been watching have not been struggling for aim assist and seem to be playing quite fine, so I'm just basing off what I've seen with them, and a lot of them sometimes opting to run an SMG over a shotgun, but across the board it seems like most people evened out. MK7, shotgun, sometimes Spider-Man mythic and double meds, sometimes an SMG and double meds. That seems to be most people's loadout coming into endgame. The Spider-Man mythics in competitive aren't being used as much as what you think. In solos, being used a fair bit, but in duos, they're just really not worth it. You'd much rather carry an SMG or a med slot because trying to get 2 people to swing without someone shooting you to chop you out or getting stuck in someone's box, it's just not really worth it. Early in mid-game, the Spider-Man Mythic is quite solid for setting up in good surge positions, but with the ready availability of lots of vehicles around the map and now the quad crashes, most players opting to use vehicles to get to their surge spots and then preferring endgame to have that extra slot for SMG or meds. So across the board, the competitive meta isn't looking too great, but I think it would be absolutely fantastic if they just nerfed the ARs and SMGs. That would really make the comp meta right now look great. The meds are really, really good. The map is good. We're lucky it's duos. If this was still trios, the map would not be good at all. We would have so many players constantly contested. A lot of people just getting absolute shambles loot. Because it's duos and because the Spider-Man mythics allow some of the more shambles drop spots to work, it is making it a little bit better. The coolers around the map are super underrated to let players have more shamble drops, because most of those coolers are spawning in the middle of nowhere in little like pockets near the ponds or near the lakes. So it seems like it's pretty good loot wise. I think Tilted coming in could help things massively. But overall, it's not that bad. Last season, we were really spoiled. The map last season was amazing for competitive. A whole bunch of POIs and a whole bunch of really big, good loot piles in between the POIs people could drop at. But I wouldn't say it's too terrible. If the ARs and SMGs get nerfed, I think this could be a really, really good and really fun competitive meta. Next up, the map, and obviously I'm not going to complain about the map. Absolutely love it. It's fantastic. I'm even more excited though for Tilted to come into the game, because right now the pacing does feel a little bit strange. Without one major POI in the middle of the map with lots of people dropping at it or rotating around it, once I leave my spawn fight, I don't really know which direction to go. I'm just going to random POIs and hoping people are there. There's not like one set destination that everyone's kind of rotating towards like we've usually had in a lot of other maps. And also, because there is a lack of major POIs right now, I find the games are dying out a bit faster, because most people are just dropping at a few of the main POIs rather than spreading it out a little bit. But ultimately, I still find the map really, really fun, really fresh. I'm a bit scared to see the snow biome go away. I've seen photos of all the snow melting and it's just all green and then a little bit of desert. I wish there would still be an element of snow on the map, maybe like in the top corner, like we used to have in Chapter 1. I love that feel of different areas around the map with very different biomes. So I want to see a bit of snow stay. I am a little bit disappointed we haven't had any sign of the new weather, like having the new cyclone or tornado that goes around the map, having the lightning storms. We still haven't seen Terry wake up, which is obviously the dinosaurs that are sleeping around the map. But I get it, Epic saving some of that content for later, because this is going to be an over 3-month-long season. I think for me personally, once tournaments start back up, that's enough content for me. And in this break of tournaments, I want there to be as much thrown at the game as possible. So as much as that's me, I feel like being a little bit, I don't know, maybe being a little bit too greedy. I want all of the cool new stuff in the game as quick as possible. I am a bit sad to see at least not one of them added, especially because the weather, especially the tornadoes and the lightning storms, was so heavily focused in the trailer. I thought we're going to get it pretty quick. I'm sure we might get in the next couple weeks, and that's still within a month of the season coming out. But I feel like with the Christmas break with Epic coming up, if we don't get it in the next week or so, we're not really going to get it until maybe like 2 or 3 weeks into next year. And that's pretty much about 6 weeks into the season. But again, like I said, I think I'm just being a little bit greedy. Chapter 2 Season 1, in the entire season, we had the harpoons added and that was it. So I'm not going to say that's a negative of Chapter 3. I just think it's a missed potential on a huge positive. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed. Please chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.